but it's very clearly orchestrated. It's very well planned and orchestrated. And then you look at the people that are making the threats about ungovernability and some threats of violence as well. And they are, of course, in the dissatisfied ANC faction, the Zuma faction, because, of course, their leader has been incarcerated in prison as per the court's instructions. And not just that, but other people have been charged for corruption, or suspended. And so there's a very large dissatisfied body of people who can see all the benefits they have been enjoying for years, not just salaries they got as they were in government, but also all the tenders and the corruption-linked deals that came with it. And I don't know about in Gauteng, but certainly in Durban, we have a lot of people linked to them who are called the so-called radical economic transformation people. And we have these business forums. They've been getting a lot of tenders. They go and disrupt legitimate activities, as when the tender is awarded to somebody else and building or construction or maintenance takes place, and they actually go in thuggishly and disrupt. So you've got all these people, and I believe because after Zuma was taken away and put into no doubt a pretty luxurious prison environment, the threats were very clear on social media about what was going to happen. And those people, like Edward Zuma, Dudu Zuma, they must be arrested for sedition because they are challenging the authority of the state through violence. I mean, even the house of the acting judge president, Zondo, in Durban, was surrounded by people on Sunday afternoon. But luckily, and that it had been promoted on social media. The exact location of his house, the whole layout of his house was shown. And fortunately, it was picked up and the police were notified. And they took action.
Okay.
So that's how bad it is.
Right. Mary, let's ask this question then. Obviously, we've seen the violence, the looting, the rioting happening on a very large scale in KZN and obviously here in Gauteng. You're saying it was very, very well orchestrated. There are other people suggesting that there's a lot of criminality involved. It's not necessarily only political. That seems to have almost been overshadowed by opportunistic criminals. Your thoughts on that? And also, if you can respond on the impact on businesses and the economy going forward. How bad does that picture look?
Yes, no, I'd like to respond because there's no doubt a huge body of criminals involved in this. You see, we are a very criminalized society. If you go out there to poor areas, it's at a different level. In the rich areas, you've got a different type of crime. You've got more sophisticated crime. You've got syndicates, for example, that run organized crime, hijacking, and they're living in affluent areas. But the people who are carrying out the crime, like the hitmen or the hijackers or so many criminals, and they look up to the people in government and they say, well, they're criminals, they've been found, look at all this evidence at Zondo and all the criminality, why shouldn't we?
Absolutely.
So you've got a lot of, criminal networks, the drug dealers, in Durban, nobody seems to touch them. So you have a very criminalized society in South Africa, and yes, they have jumped on the bandwagon. They're part of it. So they don't need any urging, you see. So they're certainly part and parcel of it. So there's a whole layer of people. There's the people, look, we always have protests. They're a country where it's quite normal to go and protest over service delivery. That was happening, before the Zuma incarceration. And it will happen towards local government elections, it gets worse. Now, so people are quite used to going out there and making a lot of trouble, and they do that for good reason, because we have 3 different levels of government, if you exclude the district government, And no, hardly any of those government representatives actually gets involved in helping the communities they're supposed to help, including councillors. I mean, some do, but it's the minority. So people protest. So you have that culture of going out and protesting and causing damage, and that's fed into this, yes. Now, the damage to the economy is immense. I mean, quite apart from the fact that people all over the world are, people in positions to invest in the country are looking at what's happening and saying, well, no ways. But I'm thinking now of the actual businesses. I mean, I'm sure you can give me lots of examples, but I look at a mall that I often go to. It's 5 minutes. It's in the Glenwood area. It's one of the malls that was attacked because the specific, most malls, but not all malls were attacked. They went for the ones that was easy to get in, easy to get out, I think. Mm-hmm. And I mean, in that mall, they've just done wanton damage. Mm-hmm. Completely unnecessary. And some of these are small businesses.
Absolutely.
They're like supermarket chains, which are, the insurance will bear the brunt of this. But, these people are already struggling.
I think the insurance companies are going to take a huge knock, and there's going to be a time where they're just not going to be able to pay out on insurance. Those of us that are lucky enough to be insured, if we put in our claims early enough, I think we need to probably have the insurance company on one of the shows as well to check what they're predicting going forward. Very quickly, you spoke about certain government members, Zuma's children, for example, to be charged with sedition, incitement, etc. Do you think that would come to pass?
I hope it will. You can't let, these people, it's blatant. The political, the inciting rhetoric is captured on social media even. There's people, well-known people inciting it. Like that Steve school guy. He was up there whooping up a crowd. Now, you must arrest for incitement, but I believe, before the standoff at Encounter last Wednesday, there were threats over threats. We will kill the police. If they arrest them, we will make sure we target them afterwards. Now, the police are representing the authority of the state carrying out the court orders. That is an attack on the state. That is sedition.
Absolutely.
Them.
Absolutely. Yeah. Unfortunately, we're going to have to leave it there. But thank you indeed for your time. Please, all I can say is stay safe as much as you possibly can. Take care.
Okay, you too. Hey?
Okay.
All of you.
Thank you indeed. That was Mary de Haas, violence monitor and analyst in the province of KZN, talking about, obviously, the situation, this boiling pot, this place that we find ourselves in, this burning cauldron that we all find ourselves in. 8:34 exactly.
I'm more health conscious than ever, so tonight it's stir fry for dinner, cooked in healthy Helios pure